And coaching simply is about helping people get better. And his belief was, we try to take our players where they can't take themselves. That's a powerful statement. And you'll see from one of my later slides, there's not a terrific player in any sport that doesn't have a coach. Everyone needs a coach. Coaching is about helping people get better. And our job is to take them where they can't go by themselves. Now, high maintenance players. Some people like to call them dysfunctional players. I had the pleasure, and I mean pleasure, of coaching Dennis Rodman. When I had him, he won I think he was the leading rebounder in the league 7 straight years. Can you imagine that? 7 straight years. He won Defensive Player of the Year, I think, 3 times. The guy won't be in the Basketball Hall of Fame because he's perceived to be slightly different. Okay? But, flat out, can you play? Maybe the smartest player I ever coached. Basketball IQ off the charts. Knew the tendencies of every single player in the league. Knew everything. Knew which guys wanted to. And that's why he was such a great rebounder. He knew when the ball was shot by certain guys from certain places. He knew what was happening. And the thing that was interesting about Dennis is he was so competitive and, believe it or not, had incredible leadership ability and had no problem calling out our so-called stars. Now, the difference about coaching these players that are high maintenance and very difficult is that also they share the same thing. They also demand a lot from you. And they want you to be. And so they also are the same as highly talented players. Now let me talk to you about a friend of mine, Bob Hill, who was the coach of San Antonio Spurs. After Chuck and I left the Pistons, they traded Dennis down to San Antonio because there was no one left at the Pistons that could handle him. Chuck was like a father figure to Dennis. Dennis didn't have a father that he ever knew in his life, so Chuck took that place, and he embraced it. He truly loved Dennis Rodman. And so they were incredibly tight. When he left, he felt abandoned. Went down to San Antonio. They had, like I said, David Robinson down there. They were a really good team. And does anyone here remember in the Western Conference Finals, maybe against the Houston Rockets with Olajuwon, what happened did my friend, and I say this sincerely, Bob Hill do, my friend Dennis Rodman do every time he went out of the game? Does anyone remember? When Bob took Dennis out of the game, what did Dennis do? Took his shoes off. Took his shoes off. Put the shoes on the floor, sat on the floor. Does anyone remember that, Vic? And he did that because he wanted to tell the coach, you don't want me to play? I'll take my shoes off. So Bob Hill calls up Chuck, who was not coaching, was doing television, and says, Chuck, what's going on here? What do I do? You know, it's real simple. Don't take him out of the game. We played him 48 minutes a game in Detroit. He never wanted to come out. He had an incredible body. He was bionic. And why take him out of the game? Who are you putting in? Matt Bullard? I mean, you know, who are you putting in the damn game? So you put some guy in the game, and Dennis is sitting on the side. Now, who is the general manager of the team at that time? Popovich. Anyone know where Greg Popovich went to college? Air Force Academy. What was his major? Russian studies. Very flexible guy. Intelligence of Russian studies. Okay? What do you think Pop told Bob Hill to do? Suspend him. At the end of the season, they suspended him for Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals. Who's the point guard in San Antonio Spurs? Anyone know at the time? Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers. Who loves Pop? He says, what are you doing? I came here to win the championship. You suspended the best rebounder in the league. Follow the rules. Forget the rules. After the season, fine them. We need to win. Be careful about rules. Be careful about imposing your standards on players. Figure out what the problem was. The problem was he wasn't being really disobedient. He was pissed you took him out of the game. He wasn't in foul trouble. So Bob Hill and Pop, what do they do after the season? What does all good NBA coaches do when they can't handle a player? Trade him. Atta baby.